what is open forum and how is it different from just people talking?
It relates also to the more modern view that you can have conflict as a healthy aspect of life.
Okay.
It doesn't need to be overly dramatic and crazy. Nobody slam the door or slam someone. And you have a facilitator who can say stop, who can say let's go slow, who can say, oh, this was very important, who kind of directs the discussion a bit in terms of where we're going. For a beginner, it's hard to see the difference. It's just a bunch of people talking. But I think it's very difficult for 50 people to get together and talk. We're speaking of 50 or 80 people sitting together and talk. So first of all, an open forum is providing a space. It's first of all providing a space for interaction to happen in a safe environment.
So the goal of open, or hope for open forum is what, to reach a solution or?
What is the hope? The hope is that this group will get an insight about their identity. Who are we? So it's an awareness project of who we are. We are a meditation group.
For example?
We don't like conflict, for example, and then you have noises in the environment and you try to repress that, and now we meditate, but you're getting angry in the background and you just don't bring it in. And in our forums or group works, we would encourage to bring that in, that you hold back, to make the group experience more whole, to bring in marginalized experience, the noises, the tension, and to actually address it and speak about it rather than repress it.
So then solution comes from there, or solution is not part of even the hope?
It's not a solution-oriented approach. It's experience-oriented and it's interactional, and the interaction never stops. There may be temporary solutions, temporary moments of resolution where everybody feels at one, a sort of a coherent moment is reached. And from there you can then organize structural implementation of various things that need to be organized when the feelings are sort of coherent. But it is also about learning. If a group of people get together and they discuss an issue, you learn a lot about the roles in the field, about the history, about men and women's feelings, about the society where the forum is happening. I mean, it's an amazing learning experience. You learn about the politics of a place. You learn about the ancestors of a place. And all that enriches your view as a human being, I feel. But then on top of that, you include the dreams of the people, what people dream about, their visions, their hopes, their goals. And you don't stop just at the rational viewpoints. You bring the whole thing to the table. And the third thing that I want to mention is the paradigm is called group coherence or group cohesion or solutions, temporary solutions, community building, community feeling through conflict. Conflict is really the way to get to a more complete community. If you marginalize conflict, you will have a pseudo community. So it's really for an authentic community, for an authentic family, you need to bring in what's marginalized. Pseudo.
Pseudo.
Which means it's just so much split off stuff and you walk on eggshells and and you're afraid to speak, and there's tension. Yes, we are a happy family, we're all one, while in fact there's a lot of division and unresolved conflict. Conflict helps people to get closer. You learn by watching people who are maybe a little bit more courageous or a bit more fresh in going into conflict, that this is not killing you, it's actually beneficial for the group and for relationships. That's why group psychotherapy works. Group psychotherapy works in that way exactly, that individual members of the group don't need to necessarily work in front of the group. Just by being there and seeing other people work, they start to get an idea of what it could mean to focus on yourself, to become aware, to grow by watching others, by
feeling with them, no?
Yeah, by feeling with them, by we had open forums where politicians said, this is great, we never saw this type of interaction, we should have that in our Swiss parliament. First of all, we want to get people together, provide a safe space for interactions
And it's a lot of work to get people together, I understand.
It's quite some work to get people together, and especially if you want to invite a large crowd, it's a lot of work to get different parties involved, to get the ones who share your worldview, those who don't share your worldview, the left, the right. It's quite hard. And yes, even facilitators have a worldview. This is actually what we're doing. Helping the viewpoints to express themselves and to get into contact with each other, but that you are also shifting. At one moment you are on this side, and another moment you may have understanding for the other side. So in a way you are like any participant. You have a viewpoint. And I think you should have a viewpoint, because you have a viewpoint. You cannot get rid of your viewpoint, but maybe you could state your viewpoint. This is my viewpoint. However, I also value other viewpoints, and I want to invite other viewpoints. And in the way you relate to the crowd, if you can manifest that you really also invite and value others, you're believable, you walk your talk. It's not an easy thing, especially in a very polarized field. But then in tribal societies where actually these open forums probably were held thousands of years ago already, there were no trained facilitators. It was just the elder, maybe the grandmother, who had a lot of spiritual rank. She had many children, she had connections to everybody, she's fluid in relationships somehow, and she can sort of holds the forum. And in such a large group, you don't deal usually with individual psychologists. You really just deal with group phenomena.
Group phenomena, what is it? What do you deal with?
Group roles. The one who wants to have a vacation, the ones who wants to learn, the one who wants relationship, and the one who is here to take a break. I forgot but let's say.
Right.
And then those who don't fit, they go there.
And the idea, if the group has more information about itself, it will what?
Well, first of all, they need to get to know themselves. Who are they? Then, for instance, this group will learn we are this, 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 and this. And then this one will say, but I'm here too. Okay. Then they learn we are here, this, and then maybe another one, I'm here too, the critic. And then the group
and
learns.
they say, no, you're not here. We don't let you.
You don't want me, but I'm here. This guy just criticized that guy. I may not be so visible, but I'm here. And so then the group learns, this is us. This is us. And then maybe somebody says, I want to dance. And then they learn maybe that the whole group moves in a certain direction, in a new direction, over the edge into a new form of being. Individual interactions will happen, personal development will happen, and then also group development will happen in the sense of where does the group want to go.
So facilitator obviously doesn't know where group needs to go.
That's the difficult thing. That's the challenge, I think, that you always don't know what expects you. You're always kind of open to process, which is also discomfortable. It's not so comfortable. You never know, will I be able to see what's happening? Will I be able to go with the change? Or will I feel afraid and resist? And what's going to happen? Are two people going to have a terrible fight? Is one person leaving the group? You never know. And I think you need to be kind of open to that unknown. And that's creative and that's interesting. And yeah, we are afraid of you. You have very sharp teeth. And then she smiles and says, thank you. Yeah, it's true a little bit. Why? I have sharp teeth? Well, I need to have sharp teeth. I'm the boss. But that makes me very uncomfortable. And so to just, in the group setting, you do a lot of relational work. So that he can actually feel more power. And this guy, oh, I need to respect you. Yes. And so that the real change is happening. If a prescribed change is happening, I'm doubtful whether that holds for a long time. I'm not sure how long that holds.
Because it's less natural?
Because you don't deal with the resistance. You just say, you know, remove this guy. But then maybe the next guy is just the same. So you need to sort of deal with the forces present that are bigger than the people. If I say just you go, they will elect a new one. They need to integrate each other. My model would be an integration model, to integrate the different forces, not to exclude, to include. Working individually isn't enough. We as human beings are social beings, and our makeup is the result of childhood experience, of experiences with our parents. So our relation to relate is to be human, is to relate. And so from the individual work, it was seen as a limit to just do individual work. And I think Mendel put all this together to a paradigm which includes individual work, relational work, and group work as a unifying paradigm, and that each of these levels by itself is limiting for the development of the human being. So we do internal work, then we bring it out into relationship, then we bring ourselves into groups. And what he came back to an old idea, actually, that the group as a group has a tendency to grow. The group is a unity with a particular spirit that wants to evolve and develop.
Identity.
And,
Identity.
and has an identity and a developmental process as a whole. That's an older idea that was dropped, and Mendel picked that up again. And the idea that what you experience in yourself is reflected in what we experience in our relationship, and is reflected again in the social collective field. Let's say you have an adaptive part, a fiery part in your relationship. You are maybe the adapted one and your partner is the fiery one. And in the group field, of course, you have these archetypal forces, the adaptive, slower one and the fiery, explosive ones as archetypal forces, as roles in the field. So these roles repeat on each system level. That's basically the Mendelian approach. That emotion and feelings are very important is also included. That in these group settings you bring out your viewpoints not only rationally but with a lot of emotions, and especially to have these interactions on an emotional level before you then go and solve structural issues or systemic issues. You first have it out feeling-wise.
Why is it important?
It seems that if you just rationally agree with your partner on something, the feeling background isn't worked on, and it will backlash, it will sabotage your agreements. It's like this typical thing when two parties agree, I agree. They look to the side, maybe bite their teeth. All that information is not included. And we think that information needs to be included as well.
So emotions is also an information.
Emotions is an information.
Okay, I see.
And actually in modern psychotherapy and coaching, it is said that emotions is one of the prime mediators of change. If you don't bring in emotions, it's very questionable if individuals change. People are on very individual, different levels in their development. So some people, they won't feel or notice their emotions or marginalize them. Others are much more open emotionally. It's quite diverse in the beginning. But people who don't emote so much, they will learn from those who emote more, to bring in their feelings, to recognize their feelings, and to the extent that you recognize your feelings and acknowledge them and feel them, you're healthier. Your health is better. So there's a direct connection between experiencing and health. The ability to experience what you notice inside to how healthy you feel you are.
And ability to bring it out.
And the ability to bring it out, while catharsis doesn't necessarily mean to shout and scream, but to bring it in a useful way. There may be a phase where there is shouting and screaming. In our process-oriented group processes, we don't have rules about it. Screaming and shouting is fine. Any communication style is fine. However, as you develop, you will probably learn to bring it in more useful ways so that the other one can hear you and feels valued and not put down and demonized.
So you learn it over the time, and it's a long process.
It's a longer process, for some people a lifelong process. Others are more feeling types. For them it's easier. And for them, maybe the rational approach is more difficult.
Right.
It's more to learn, to grow in awareness, to learn also how to empathize with the other. You go into an open forum and you strictly believe Russians are evil, let's say. And you have tons of evidence that that's true. And then you meet Russians in that group meeting, and you experience them as being very friendly and human, and also against the war, and also in tears about it and in pain, and you suddenly start to feel, oh, she's my sister, or she's like my brother. And so, in a way, coherence starts to be possible, understanding, mutual understanding. It, of course, will happen that some people will be extremely furious or hurt or even re-traumatized, to use that that word that we also disclaim in the beginning, that if you may feel hurt or traumatized by what these people are saying. And we will encourage those people in such a group not to participate. That's also an intervention. You don't need to participate. It may be too painful for you. Maybe it's too early. Maybe it's not the right moment. About the strong feelings and rage that you may experience as a spectator. Let's say, as an example, you identify strongly with being a victim of a situation, just experience it a little bit, and then come out and now choose a new situation where you have been the aggressor in your life. Remember a situation, a context, a time, people, who was there when you were the aggressor. What happened? And maybe also remember a time when you were a bystander. You saw some aggressive acts and you felt paralyzed, or you felt unable to intervene. So you see those various situations and you see yourself maybe as a person in the end who embraces all those experiences, who has an understanding of all these various aspects of yourself and develop some type of self-love or self-support, that you don't shame and just demonize yourself. So that type of inner work can give people quite a good perspective that it's me too. It's not just them, it's me too. And that's basically the goal also of these group processes, that you realize I'm the other too. I'm a bit like the other at times. It's on a continuum of experience, and it's not right in any moment to take the other side. If you're a traumatized victim of sexual assault or of war, it's not the right time to take the other side and see that you are a little bit like that other person. So what I'm saying also needs to be understood in the context of feedback. I'm relating to the other person and watching for feedback to my suggestions. And if it doesn't feel right, if the somatic feedback is a bit negative, just a little bit going back with her body, or then I'm not gonna go there and insist. You could also change sides by defending your side more. First you feel victimized, hopeless, then I help the person to really fight the aggressor, which fighting the aggressor is also an aggressive act. So it's changing sides without really changing sides. There's many ways to change sides, or it's all about empowerment.
Well, I'm very glad we are speaking now a little bit about that there's a time when you don't have to, well, you don't take the other side. And there is time where you defend yourself without feeling guilty for defending yourself, so that you support that too.
In Mendel's phases of conflict, he differentiates 4 phases of conflict. Phase 1 being everything's okay. You don't really focus on inner conflict. You sort of hop along with life. So, okay. Phase 2, you really experience conflict in yourself or with the other, but there is definitely a me versus you friction. And if people are in this phase, to suggest that they change roles is probably not going to give you great feedback. It's first people need to be heard. What they hate, what's bad about the other, demonize the other. I can think the other is somehow her or him. It's like a dream figure of this person viewed from an individual psychological standpoint, but I'm not going to bring that in. We all know that we sometimes are in this heavy conflict phase where we stand for ourselves in a complete conviction that that our viewpoint is right. That's just what happens. Why it is, it just is. And then you will also notice people then in transition to the phase 3, where people actually see that I'm a little bit like the other. You see them double signaling strong. You know, I don't like you. Coming closer or smiling. And you see that actually within themselves they are in 2 roles. They don't notice it yet. They don't really are aware that they're smiling or that they move forward. But then you could help them to become more aware of that. And if they become more aware of that other thing, suddenly they realize, oh, the other person does that, I do it too. Oh, right. I was just criticizing the other for banging, and now I realize I'm banging myself. I'm a little bit like the other, actually. So the hope is to weave me and the other a bit together, so that the polarization lessens and the roles become a bit more fluid and your viewpoints are more fluid. Similarly to what Arnie said, that impressed me years ago when he said, it's great to have a viewpoint. I thought, yes, I need to have a viewpoint finally. I'm so wishy-washy, have a viewpoint. And then the next sentence was, well, even better is to have one and be able to give it up. And defend yourself until you're done with defending yourself. Check it out. Are you done? If you feel you need to defend your position, defend it. It's a very descriptive model. It supports what's happening, not what should happen.
So in open forum, would you invite people to change side? Would you do something to present that there is another side? Would you like to step in, or sitting at your place, or you wouldn't do that?
I think it becomes clear that there is another side. Like one side is wants to protect the environment. They are against, let's say, a certain industrial complex being built in this area, and the other voice is definitely proposed to build this industrial complex. So it is clear that we have a diversity of voices, and that's clear to everybody. And you can mention it. We have here a diversity of voices, and we invite the diversity of voices. I think that was originally also the idea, that if we speak from roles, you're protected, as you said, as an individual. It's not you. You're representing a whole part of society or of the group.
And actually, you're a brave one, no? Because you actually decided to represent and speak out, no?
So it's also very helpful to use roles, to go back to this role thing. If we have a fight in a team, a really nasty fight between 2 people, if somebody like a facilitator steps in and says, these are 2 roles fighting. It's not just you. Who can speak for this role and who can speak for this role? It de-escalates this hot personal conflict and frames it as a more archetypal or transpersonal or general dialogue between two powers in the field.
But doesn't it become fake? I'm just sorry for that question, but I know some people. I know some people who are saying, "Oh, then this is not real."
I mean, now I had a situation in mind where it definitely wasn't fake, because there was a huge conflict between 2 people in a small group of 10.
Sorry, I used the word fake. I know it's not
Yeah,
fake.
no, but I know what you want to say.
Artificial. Yeah, sorry.
But fakeness comes in a different moment. I go there in a second. First, if there is a hot conflict, let's say between us, and Katja would come in and say, oh, but this is also a conflict between two roles. It's bigger than just you. Usually that makes you relax. Because before you were so in an extreme state, taking your side and fighting with the other, and you fighting with me, that if somebody steps in and says, these are roles, is anybody else wanting to take these roles? You're sort of entlassen, you're entlasted, you are
Relaxed or freed.
Freed from this possession. And in that sense, then it helps, and then it's not fake, then it's just a conflict goes on between two groups. And we then can switch roles, and I can experience, oh, let me try your side, you try my side, and it's not so hot. It de-escalates. And the conflict can still be worked on. So that is when there is already a huge conflict and you frame it as a conflict between roles. The other thing, when it's artificial or a little fake, you could even say, if we start with roles, if we say we have a conflict between Russians and Ukrainians, you can also say it's a role, it's not me personally. And, or it is partly role, partly personal. That's the other thing, that roles and person, it's always an aspect is personal, an aspect is role. So when people say, well, is it personal, is it a role? My usual answer is it's always both. I mean, I wouldn't speak that role if I didn't feel it also personally. Otherwise, it would be completely fake. I can also do that. I can assume a role that I don't feel at all. If that's fake, no, I'm trying to feel into that other side. And to take some roles is difficult. Some roles are cold, and some roles are warm, and some roles are very hot. In a group process on racism, where the ghost role is the racist, that's a hot role to take. Although you're protected by the role, it's still hard to step in and actually get real about how you personally experience yourself as being racist. First, it's a fake a little. You just try to feel into it, and then you go deeper until you really notice how it is you. And the facilitator will help you to be more real. If I say, I'm a racist.
Let's speak your truth.
Yeah, I'm a racist. That's not very deep. Anybody can say that.
Yeah.
The facilitator will say, how? Be more precise. How are you racist? And then the person has to do some work to really get in there. Until it becomes really personal. So the role is just a stepping stone into the deeper waters and into the process and into the more personal interaction.
And in theory, we always say that the role is bigger than the person. So that's how you protect it. It's not only you. And the person is bigger than the role, of course.
How?
Because you are not only racist, for example, you are not only
right.
blamer, you are not only just this part.
So that protects you if you say something very one-sided. The facilitators help the group to understand that this person is much bigger than just this aspect.
Right.
So we're always trying to have a meta skill of everyone in the group is everybody. If we would be enlightened, we would realize we are in all positions. And that's, I think, where we want to get to.
Our identity has the limits. We are identified with something. I'm a mother, I'm a woman, I'm a psychologist. So this edge
Yes.
These limits of my identity. This is the edge. Everything what not me, I can say Rainie is not me, so it's my kind of the edge of my identity, right? And it plays very good role, so we are not confused all the time who we are. It's needed. But sometimes things happen to us, like also this war happened to us, and then things starting troubling us and send us some signals, some attractions, some horrifying things. They kind of coming closer.
But we say.
But we still say
we don't want to know.
we don't want to know. It's not
No?
us. We are in Switzerland. It's not about us. That's how we deal with all these wars before. And now Ukraine, it was very close to the limits of our identity. It's a brother full country. It was very close to us, and then we start to deal with this edge.
Because it's closer to us, it's harder to marginalize it and to repress it, that it's not us. Because we know a little bit it is us, actually. It's very close. And so we're much more touched. If we would include everything, which is the program in a way in Jungian psychology or in psychodrama, Moreno's theory, that we as human beings include more and more experiences as ours, I think it would be much more difficult to have wars and all these catastrophes. We would feel so much and people would be in such turmoil that it's happening to me. I'm hungry. I don't have food. I don't have water. I'm being killed. I'm a killer. I'm dead. All that would be me. And I think we would have a lot more compassion for each other.
But it would be harder to.
It would be hard.
Hard to live.
It would be harder. So in a way, this repression is necessary also to have a functional life.
Yes, but inclusion is also necessary, because if from excluding we can go very far, and we can go to this dehumanization. How do you say dehumanization, right? That the other is not me and not a person and not a kind of mine, and you can kill him, you can do whatever you want with the other. So this is like a continuum of two poles, right? The other is me. I feel him like myself. It's absolutely not possible that he's hungry, he's in need, he doesn't have a home or something, right? And on the other side of this continuum, dehumanization, he is not a person, he is not a kind of mine.
He's not a kind of
man, of person,
of
mine.
Not a person.
Yeah,
how to translate? He's not a person. He's not even an animal, or he's an animal.
He's an animal,
like,
or something.
In racism, the other is not human. This dehumanization is an important part. That the more we repress, the more we marginalize, the stronger our edge is to include the other, the more the tendency to dehumanize and to be able to kill. You need to repress a lot to be able to kill.
Yeah.
So in a world work process, when some person said, I was in a place and I saw soldiers moving, and I knew they're gonna kill.
Yes.
And I saw the people, they are gonna kill. These people are gonna kill, and they're gonna be people killed.
Right.
And in a world work process, you could say, stop right here. Who can identify with the killer? I see it from a positive side. You must have good reasons.
Right.
What's your ideology? What's your deepest ideals? Tell me. Show me.
What would you kill for?
And what would you kill for? And on the other hand, on the other role, the ones who are being attacked and threatened to be killed, how do you feel? Fear. Then there would be a part of fear. I'm afraid. Woo! They would scream and shout, woo! Don't kill me! Ah! Boom, boom, boom. And some people would fall. And we would act that out in world work. In an open forum, we don't act that out. People mention the story, everybody listens, they all know what is being said, they're touched, that's enough. We're not acting out these parts. So we don't go so deep.
So when you say act out, you also probably mean feel that. Not
Feel
only,
that.
yeah, because in Russian, if we just translate acting out, it would be without feeling. But I know that you also mean experience. Yes.
And I also don't mean it in the psychoanalytic sense, where acting out is a derogatory term of unconsciously transfer childhood experience into the present and acting out, doing instead of understanding in psychoanalytic terms. No, I think to take the role, to fully embody that aspect of the killer.
Also to go over the edge, because all this scene of killing and ouch, 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 and fear, it's all the edge. And then when it happened, really, when the person is dead, killed, and another one became a real killer. So being dead, you go into the essence of being dead, and then you can come out with some information. What you get there. How it was it for you, or
have you
what
ever
happened
seen
to you?
an essence? I mean, have you ever heard someone speaking about from the essence? What would it be, for example?
I just do it all the time with my with my clients and my praxis, and well, I did it myself. It was quite amazing process of dying, step by step dying, and then I think it was a feeling of being together with all the generation, with all the people. It was a really experience of being together with many people.
Be more dead.
And then you come back with this message and try to use it in your life, because you're alive until some moment.
So in a way, it's a letting go process where you let go of your attachments in fantasy and get more and more quiet. Your consciousness is fading until you get to the innermost, whatever is there, when none of your identities are there anymore. You lose your identities as a mother, as a woman, as a body, and your relatives, your daughters, you say goodbye to everybody. And what is the essence when all that is gone? And then you bring that back. And so when we say to go over the edge to being dead, that's what needs to happen on that pole. People need to do this work to going deeper into the essence of being dead and bring back those messages. Otherwise, it's just a word, a label. It doesn't. It's no information. I think it's information that we're trying to include. Experiences that we marginalize. For instance, I'm not the killer, right? I'm a teacher. I'm a man. I'm not a killer. But then when I start to identify with the killer, I add more experiences. Then I suddenly realize I have killed my brother when I told him to shut up. And then suddenly I include more of my marginalized experience.
I want to also step back and ask you about the essence of the dead and what, like you said, to bring information. Are we missing it? Do you think we're missing in our world that information?
Well, for me, that was quite a transformative process of feeling the other like myself. So the fantasy would happen to me when I was in the train, and a bunch of people whom I don't know, who have no connection to themselves, just a bunch of people which go out the next station. And then, because I was always dealing with these feelings and thinking about Ukrainians being killed and comparing my life to theirs life and talking to the people who came in Switzerland as refugees. So my psyche made a trick with me. Suddenly it happened to me that I imagine all these people now being dead, being shooted, and they fall down. And the next moment I felt like we're so much together, we're so close to each other. They're so valuable for me and for each other too. It was just, you can say, play of imagination, but I got into this feeling of the other like myself. So that's why, because we're talking about humanization and dehumanization through this process. How is it possible that we see the war as a way to deal with some problems? How is it possible that somebody just sign up the paper in full conscious that it will bring 1,000 people being killed?
We don't know exactly what the other's gonna say. It could be a detachment, it could be a wisdom, it could be sleeping, it could be just detached, we don't know.